Sonoma this weekend for a road race. Right now, I have a 59-point lead over Chicagoland Speedway President Scott Paddock, and our bet, he's taking Juan Pablo Montoya. I'm going with my lucky driver, Jeff Gordon. The sports world is full of pioneers whose stories have been celebrated, but what did those athletes themselves go through to get where they ended up? And what lessons can all of us learn from their trials? Joining us now is Dr. Norman M. Davis, who wrote the new book, The Black Quarterback Syndrome. Thank you for joining us. You wrote this book about Marlon Briscoe, who was the first black starting quarterback in professional football. What about his story? You told me in the green room, you read the book, you went, okay, I've connected with this.
Right. When I read Marlon's book, it reminded me immediately of many of the things that I went through and many of the things that I observed other people going through. But it wasn't necessarily because of the race. They might have been the first woman, the first older white male. In fact, one of the guys in my book happens to be a very young white male, and he became a manager when the average age for managers was more like 40. And he said that people looked at him with doubt and questions. So when I read Marlon's book with lots of athletic examples, it reminded me that I needed to write a book and let the world know that all of these challenges that people face, they're not necessarily race. Sometimes they can be that you simply don't fit the prototype. All the people have gone before you.
I talked to Vince Evans, who was a great college football player, played for the Chicago Bears. He said several teams interviewed him before the draft and said, no, you can't play quarterback. You're black. You're either going to go to defensive back, running back, or wide receiver. And he said, no, I'm going to the pros and I'm going to play quarterback. The Bears took a chance on him, and he had a pretty solid career as a longtime NFL quarterback. How did you come up with the name, the Black Quarterback Syndrome? Is it off a story like a Vince Evans?
Well, it is, and teachers like to use previously acquired knowledge. So I knew there was a huge portion of the society in this country that understood that blacks were not permitted to play quarterback. Some of it was because of plain old flat racism. Others were because, well, blacks weren't even going to try to be quarterback because you're not going to be selected to play quarterback anyway. And I remember that when I interviewed all of these folks, that there were some common threads, and one of the common threads is that they are passionate about what they want to do. They're not going to be directed to be a defensive back, a linebacker, or anything else. I want to be a quarterback. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an analyst in a corporation. I want to be an astronomer, whatever. Those are the kinds of things that I noticed in the people that I interviewed. And I interviewed a variety of people who were either first or pioneers in corporate America.
I remember Isaiah Thomas said, I was reading something and someone wrote, Larry Bird is one of the smartest players, he said, and Isaiah is a great athlete. He said, because I'm black, I'm a great athlete, but because Larry Bird's white, he's an intelligent player. Did you find some of that, maybe not racism, but just preconditioning?
I see some of that, and there are many analogies. Those things are very complex, and even when it comes down to Tiger Woods. Now, as good as Tiger Woods is, many times you do hear an awful lot of, he sure is gifted, as opposed to skilled. Now, that is one of the things that in our studies of diversity and so forth, that it's fairly commonly said. It is rather rare that we refer to many minority group members or people, again, that don't fit the prototype as intelligent. We tend to trivialize their abilities and call them gifted. So I try to be conscious of that myself in my own interactions with students and people that I work with and so forth.
Where can people get a copy of the book, The Black Quarterback Syndrome, How to Succeed as a First or a Pioneer in an Organization? And on the cover, you have not just an African-American male, but you have a female on here, you have a white male. I mean, you have everything represented because everyone could be affected by this.
That's right. I have a white female as in the quarterback position because anyone out there in our society can find themselves being the first or one of the only ones like them, and then they'll feel that extra pressure. The book is available on Amazon.com, and I also have a website from which they can purchase it, and the website is drnormdavis.com. That's drnormdavis.com, or simply type in www.theblackquarterbacksyndrome.com. And when you get to the website, you'll even have opportunities to make your own contributions with regard to your own ideas about what you can do to be successful in an organization. You can be a majority group member or you can be a minority group member, but give your own ideas. And I'm collecting these ideas, and I hope to make more of this information available in the future for organizations and for people who are onlookers. I call them onlookers. Like Pee Wee Reese was an onlooker and helped Jackie Robinson.
Sure.
I talk specifically about the role of onlookers in my book, what they can do, because many people do want to help the first, but they're not sure what to do and how to go about doing it.
Appreciate you being here.
My pleasure, David. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
There you go. It is the black quarterback syndrome, how to succeed as a first or a pioneer in an organization, by Norman M. Davis, Ph.D. He's been our guest. We will take a time out and we'll continue. The 15-game winner. I know he's 0-8.